Osiris.
Hi, everyone. It's Leighton here, and today I am hosting solo. This late spring/early summer, Goose is headed back to Europe for a 9-show run for the first time since fall of 2023. How could the Femme Flock not do an episode reflecting on the last run and preparing you for the next? When it comes to getting input on Euro Tour, who better to ask than fans who have already made this very trip themselves? Today, we will be talking with Marinda, Casey, and Valerie from our very own Femme Flock and Goose communities. Welcome to Flock Talk.
Woo! Hello from freezing Massachusetts. It's wicked cold over here.
I'm coming in from Portland, Oregon.
And I am on the ground in London, England.
Before we unpack everything, let's talk about who you guys are and why we chose each of you for this episode. Starting with one who some may call their fairy goose mother, aka Marinda. Can you please tell us where you're local, how long you've been following Goose, and what shows you went to during the fall 2023 European run?
I am giggly. My heart is fluttering because people call me their fairy goose mother, which is magic. I did not know that, really. And I understand bringing the magic requires a little glitter, a little vibe change. If someone's Chompy McChomperson, you put the goose head on, you shush them with your beak, and your owl will do that for you. I will do all of the things. This is my first podcast, and I love it already. I'm Marinda Snowjams. She, hers. My middle name is Snow because I was born in a blizzard. I finally made my way to Europe in my 40s. Thought it was going to be the biggest deal ever. It really was, but it wasn't as daunting as it seemed in my mind. I've been following Goose since July 6th. So, 6, 7, as the Europeans would say, right? Do they mix it up? Do they say... Yes. Okay, good. So yeah, July 6th, 6, 7. That hot tea in Portland, Maine was my hook. 12 shows later, we were in Europe. And here we are now.
Okay. Val?
So I lived in London now for 15 years. So technically, Goose coming to Europe is my local. So we take advantage of any band that comes to London because they don't come that often. So when we got into Goose, my husband and I, actually my husband did, and he's a huge Fish fan originally. So when Goose kind of started making their way onto the scene during COVID, he started listening to a lot of their stuff on YouTube when they were doing the drive-in stuff. He was watching a lot of that, and he just fell in love. The first time we got to see them live, though, was Peach Fest 2022. We got rained out, so didn't even get to see a whole set. And then my first actual Goose show was their first Cap run, which we met a ton of people there that eventually ended up also being in Europe. So we kind of started meeting friends there. And then Europe was kind of like my third show because, it's just hard when we live so far away. But my husband did the whole run and I did most of Europe and all of the UK. So it was amazing. Loved it.
Awesome. Casey?
I hail from my chosen home of Portland, Oregon. It's been home for 13 years. And I've been following the band since probably like late 2020, early 2021. But because of COVID and quite frankly, being a lot of reasons, being on the West Coast, being broke at the time, I did not see a show till they came back here in winter 2022. And ever since then, it's kind of been full steam ahead.
What made you guys decide to follow Goose overseas in the first place?
All right. Well, we'll just say that my husband, Brian, Boston Dog, he professed his love for Goose first. And, he rolled the dice and he bought tickets before he even told me. And he mapped it all out. And it was a gamble, but I was slow ready. I guess I was so ready. I was slow, fast, slow. And that's how it was, because it was 3.5 months before we were, from the first show, then to the Levitate Music Festival, to Boston, Oakland through Fort Collins, where we collected a handful of friends that we got to see in Europe. We did the whole entire thing. And he pitched it as our honeymoon. I do have to say that it is not for the faint of heart. You have to know what honeymoon vibes you're going in with. And by day two, it was no way. This is not honeymoon. This is amazing, but dude, I'm
This is not a
sweating.
honeymoon.
No, this is not a honeymoon, but worth it.
Love it. Casey, you got it.
Yeah, I kind of similar story. I actually just, we were on spring tour and I kind of bought tickets in secret also on a whim and kind of unsure if it was like going to even happen. But if you got to play, you got to play to win. And if you don't try, I think I'd have regrets about it. So I did it, did not confess that I bought tickets till like 3 months later and just tried to make it happen. It's like, who's to say how often this will happen in the future? And I just kind of didn't want to leave anything to chance.
I mean, that's kind of the mindset that you have when these kind of tours come up.
My husband, Alex, was like, okay, Val, there's a rumor they might come to London or they might even do Europe. So if they do, I just hope you know that we're doing all of it. And I was like, okay, well, we'll do that. So unfortunately, we have a restaurant. So I took the reins and stayed back and worked a few of the shows so he could do the whole thing, just because he had started listening to them before me. So I was like, you can go to the whole thing. But like the moment they announced it, he was booking tickets and he was planning and he was doing the routes and doing everything. So we knew we were doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's start with Valerie on this question. But at a high level, how did Euro Tour feel different from touring in the US when going from city to city?
Oh man, for me, it's just because it's way more intimate because you are seeing the same people. And I mean, some of the shows were 250 people. So literally, I couldn't even imagine a show being that small and so intimate. And also, it's sort of navigating the different languages, the different train systems, rail systems, plane systems, countries. And I think that that makes you closer too. And you're bonded because, oh my gosh, our train got canceled. We had to jump on another train. We had to get there to get there in time. And it was just like this experience we all had because we didn't know what we were doing half the time. And so it was just kind of fun to have that. Like, how did you get here tonight? Oh, So I just find that it's unusual because you're surrounded by so many different types of people, not just all the Goose fans, but you're in a different country. There are people speaking different languages. So I feel like it just makes you closer.
Marinda, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. I mean, I was still a noob when I went in. So I guess on a high level, these shows were really intimate. And to piggyback off of what Val just said, our good friend Matt, who is friends with Casey, that's how we connected, was over the train delays and the cancellation. She's right on about that. We bond. We're like, whoa, what are we gonna do? This is crazy. We don't speak this language, but this is like summer camp and you know what I mean? Like traveling circus summer camp with our best friends. The things you could even imagine happen there without any expectation. It's just naturally, you find your people and you find your way.
Yeah, I guess in the US, we don't really have that element of I guess there's like communal travel on. It's funny how that works out.
Very true. I actually literally wrote the word like adult summer camp on my notes. Even if you have some familiarity with travel and international travel, you're all kind of bound by being maybe a little bit more outside of like your comfort zone. And so I think there's just this more like cohesive vibe of like we're all kind of roving around together. I think in general too, like here we're kind of getting to the point where like a lot of people that you interact with have seen this band dozens, if not like hundreds of times. And I think getting to be in a space with locals who are seeing the music was pretty cool because there's just this sense of newness and wonder that I think is really cool to experience through other people that, as the band gets bigger here is like less and less attainable, I guess, at home shows versus abroad. And it's really cool to like remember how special what we're all doing is through the eyes of new fan.
Yeah, I love that. So, in totality, how did you plan your travel from city to city?
I mean, because my husband planned it. He discovered the Goose Euro travel guide. Oh, I have it like right here. We printed it out and we had no idea that this was our buddy Garrett who helped us plan everything. So the document had all the details suggesting how best to travel between the cities that Goose was playing, and it included details about things to do, places to eat, venues, details, as well as a few helpful phrases in each country's native language. For example, goose goose, yes goose, and en français in French is wa wa oui wa. So learn your phrases. You don't necessarily have to say that one, but if you hear people saying wa wa oui wa, don't give them the stink eye. It is goose goose yes goose. So we had some French people giggling a little bit to that. They were like, "What?" It was like a goose. Anyway, they love us. We love them over in Europe, but that's really how we planned it. Trains, planes, and automobiles. And thanks to our good friend Garrett, who helped us out big time.
What I was going to say is take advantage of whatever people are offering in help, because it is helpful, especially if they've done it before. The one note I will make is raileurope.com is the European rail source. And that is where you look for all of your sort of European trains. And then the other thing I wanted to note, there's an app called TripIt that literally saved us. And because when you're planning everything, you're booking everything, you have all these confirmation codes, download your tickets, all this stuff. You could put all of that in this one app, and literally it follows you day to day and tells you your flight is leaving in 3 hours, and it gives you actually a notification. It gives you the reference codes for your flights. I mean, because think about it. And this kind of corresponds also with your question about being in the US versus being in Europe. There are so much more information you need to know. So on top of don't forget your passport anywhere, you need to make sure that you have your flight codes, your train codes, your tickets downloaded. And what if you don't have Wi-Fi? And, so you just have to think about all that stuff. So while you're booking and planning everything, if you input it into this app, you're not searching constantly to find something. So you have to really think about that stuff, and that makes it easier to just put it all in one spot when you're booking it initially, and that way you don't stress out, especially if you don't have internet. Because another thing is, when you're traveling in Europe, you may not always have an internet connection. Wi-Fi, of course, I'm assuming most people that are traveling from the US are going to be using Wi-Fi connections in places, and that's all you'll have. So it's very important to download as many tickets as you can and save them on your phone.
Yeah, I love that piece of advice. I mean, days after shows, when you're moving around after having a grand old time, nobody wants to feel like they can't find anything that they know that they have. So that's very valuable. Thank you. Casey?
Yeah, I'm maybe a little looser than some of the other people out here. My big thing is I like knowing where I'm going to be sleeping every day. So that to me is really the only thing I make sure to have locked in before I arrive. Keep in mind, I only did the UK, Glasgow through London last time. So I feel like it was maybe a little bit easier to be on the fly than doing the entirety of the Europe run. But every train ticket I bought a day of. And then I also like to have an idea or an orientation of the city I'm going to. So I will often make saved maps in Google Maps or something like that with potential things that are fun to do, and make sure to look up and see if there's any attractions or activities that might require planning or tickets beforehand. But, I feel like as long as I have a place to rest my weary head in the evening, everything else will work out. But it's a good reminder. Maybe I should plan some trains before then.
Awesome. What factors mattered most when deciding how to move from city to city? Was it time? Was it cost? Energy that you had? Flexibility?
This is a great question. Always try to strike a balance between cost and time. And really, who are you? How do you like to travel? Do you like to take the early trains? Where do you need to stay? If you're taking the early trains, you need to stay near the train station. There's a lot of factors, but I like to take a late train, and then the train was delayed. However, we made a best friend out of it. You have to surrender to the flow, but it really it balanced quite a bit. We started the trip with the strategy of staying at a hotel nearest the train station, and then we kind of mixed it up a little bit. We're a little more flexible by the end, feeling more comfortable, booking hotels last minute. That turned out to be wonderful.
For
Yeah.
us, it was definitely cost. Like, we needed to be on a budget. We were going to be traveling for 2.5 weeks, and it was very important that we did not go over budget, you know? So we were very intentional about doing Airbnbs. We actually don't like hotels at all. So we like to wake up and cook breakfast. So we needed a kitchen. So for us, it was very important to have those things just so that we wouldn't feel like we were buying food the whole time. And then we're able to like pack a lunch for the train or whatever it might be. That was really important to us.
Go for it, Casey.
Yeah, I think, it's a balance. It is like a cost thing, but I think for a lot of us traveling from the States, for me at least, it was like an experience and vibe thing too. I mean, taking the train is such a novel experience that like I don't really get much of in the US. So we kind of prioritize that. But, I'm kind of the mindset there is like a convenience fee that's worth a little extra sometimes too. So usually tried to find something that was close to the venue and, easy enough to get to the train station.
When you guys were in Europe, how far in advance did you actually book things out versus leaving them open in terms of trains, tickets, Airbnbs, hotels, all of the kind of accommodation sorts of things?
Yeah, it turns out that we booked our flights about 6 weeks before the trip began. We would have booked earlier, but we jumped on a little bit late.
Awesome. Val, what do you think? Also, what tends to save you money time-wise on booking?
Well, something to note for this time around, there is what they call May Bank Holiday in London. It's the end of May, and it's usually when all people are traveling because it's a long weekend. And guess what? Those are the days that they're playing in London.
Awesome.
Yay! So that means book your travel for London, especially now. That's all I would say. Everything else, I would say travel in general, you should lock it down just because you don't want to have to be getting up on that early flight if you don't have to, You want to take the train you want to take. And so book, especially if you want to take the Eurail from London to Brussels, book that ASAP because the tickets are just going to only go up in fare price from now until then. But there are times when we were kind of staying a little bit farther out for an Airbnb, and we're like, oh man, we wish we kind of stayed a little bit closer to the venue. But we turned out to be fine. It's just one of those things you have to weigh. But keep in mind, some cities are tiny and some cities are huge. So London is huge. Depends on what city you're in. You might want to stay closer to the venue.
Yeah, I have like my places to stay booked out, and that's like pretty much it. To me, if I don't have to get in a car like ever, that's worth a little bit more money to me than having to like figure out something, especially late at night, and like navigate like taxis or like rideshare or like transit late at night. So I prioritize lodging, and then everything else I kind of just leave to the whims. But I'll take Val's advice and get on the trains. It's good to have a local on the ground.
It's going to be really good though because it's not winter. So everything else is just going to be so much more pleasant in general because it is going to be in May. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, we don't have to specify numbers specifically, but going into Euro Tour, how did you think that the budget would shake out? Meaning, did you spend about as much as you expected on food, hotels, trains, all those things?
I think that we were a bit naive going in and thinking that we would stay within our budget. And as the trip goes on, you're having the best time of your life and you think less about frugality and more about experiencing all of the things while you're on this amazing once in a lifetime Euro tour. So we definitely came home with a larger credit card bill we've been chipping away at, but we feel very fortunate to have experienced everything we were able to. For example, we saw Hamilton in London. the day before we left because our Airbnb smelled like cigarettes. So we're like, oh no, we're going to have to get a new place. So we went into the theater district. So my heart was aflutter. Hamilton was amazing. So you do some things that you don't expect. And sometimes you go over budget. So holy cannoli. It was amazing though. Worth it. But chip away.
Yeah, I think I have to give my husband the credit because he really planned very much for us. And also, we had the benefit of having 2 nights for free in London because we live here. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is budget airfare over here is a lot cheaper. So don't freak out about not locking in some things because Ryanair, EasyJet, I mean, you can fly for 30 pounds to Germany right now. It's just amazing. It's not like anywhere in the US. So keep that in mind that budget airfare is a little bit easier on the wallet over here.
Yeah, I feel like it was about the same. My philosophy is anytime you commit to something, there's obviously an inherent privilege in being able to do that. But once I commit, I'm not going to try and be stingy. If that's the energy I'm going in with, I'd rather just stay home and not have to be stressing about money the whole time. So I think as far as transit and lodging, yes, probably spent as much as I thought I would, but honestly, I feel like we did great overall. Even going out every day and I don't think we cooked at all or just going out to attractions and bars, restaurants. Even with the exchange rate, I think we forget how ridiculous things have gotten here in the US with inflation. I feel like I actually did better than I would have even just being here at home, which was kind of cool. It's always a pleasant surprise when you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, in reality, where did money go faster than expected, whether it was food, souvenirs, experiences, but I think we kind of just touched on that. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add to that conversation or no?
I have a few London specific things when we get there.
Okay, perfect.
Also, just whatever you do, take care of your shoes. I came over to Europe with Carhartts, y'all. I'm like, what was I thinking? And they're just like, I could wear them. They feel okay. No. So that's how it goes.
Hopefully the better weather means that we will have better shoes with us this time around. Without being super explicit, substances can certainly be present on tour. Do you guys have any advice or warnings for people that are planning to participate overseas?
Well, I say be smart, be vigilant. If someone offers you breath spray, it might not be breath spray, and vibe it out. Buy the ticket, take the ride. There's plenty of playtime in Amsterdam. You can have fun there. Just be smart, do-si-do with your friends, and have fun.
I would say just make sure you know where your passport is and lock that down. Have your buddies. I think also we just always had a plan of where we would be every night. So it's very helpful. And don't do anything stupid. Make good choices. You don't want a bad choice to ruin your trip. So yeah, Amsterdam's amazing. You'll have a great time. I don't really know what else to say. That's appropriate.
Well, I'll ask you this. Some people might be looking for substances in
Yes.
these new places. What are the trusted measures or the safer routes to find those options?
Honestly, know somebody in London that can help you.
Noted.
I don't want to be the open door to everyone, but I will take care of all. No. But there's certain things that travel better. I'm not gonna, take those things that travel better. Everything else you should be able to. I don't know if I want to say that, but
I know it's an awkward
I'm saying that
conversation.
the tour provides. However, the tour will provide.
That is true.
Yeah, there's inherent risk in everything. I would echo some things, and whatever your heart desires can be located, and some things are easier to roll with than other things. But I think even in the States, use your best judgment. There's sketchy situations and things everywhere. It's always a roll of the dice, but having things that are vetted is good.
Good. Awesome. What things should people be more cautious about overseas comparatively to the US?
Like Val said, know where your passport is. Keep that locked up tight. Keep your valuables on you, locked up. I have a friend who lives in Paris who has been living there for years, and she was just on her phone and someone took her phone while she was on a phone call. So have a lanyard on your wrist because that works. And that's what she does now. And she gave me that advice and take it.
Any large trafficked area, if you're sightseeing anywhere, know that pickpocketing is rampant and the phone thing is serious. Like here in London, it does happen a lot. So just be aware and probably, yes, lanyards. Agree with that.
Yeah, I think, just having a general sense of awareness, even if you're trying and you're trying to conceal yourself, I think a lot of Americans stand out. It's just, we can't help it sometimes. There's just an energy, there's the American lean. We've all got it. So just be aware that you're probably not being as conspicuous as you think. Just proceed with quiet confidence through the world.
Love it. So, what does looking out for each other actually look like on Euro Tour as you're traveling on all these trains and exploring these new cities while attending shows?
I'm thinking about Casey's quiet confidence. If someone is not having that quiet confidence, that is what looking out for each other is to kind of maybe if someone's feeling a little sloppy, which it didn't really happen all that much. I feel like people had their wits about them. We partied responsibly. We traveled in a gaggle. So yeah, that's how we look out for each other is that we be present with one another and if where's so and so, we don't know, well, we get onto our WhatsApp because it doesn't cost anything for us to do that and for those who live there. So yeah, get used to that as well, communicating via the WhatsApp, or there may be other apps as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure you start a WhatsApp group with whoever you're traveling with. And WhatsApp is free internationally. So that will be the cheapest way to talk to each other. And yeah, I echo Miranda.
Yeah. I think the buddy system reigns supreme. I mean, even if you're traveling alone, just finding people that you can even just serve as like a point of contact to check in with. And like alternatively, if you see somebody traveling alone or we're all hanging out in a group and you're splitting ways to go back to your hotel or lodging afterwards, making sure they have like a safe walk back, I think is a good thing to do, and just make sure they get inside. So, especially some of the nights get pretty late. So, I think just making sure everybody's tucked in where they're supposed to be afterwards is a great thing. And, volunteer to do that for others as they would do for you.
Absolutely. I think the Goose community specifically is a good representation of community that you can go into as a solo traveler or solo showgoer and find people that do become your community. So I just want to emphasize the things that they just said to anybody who might be traveling solo. I guarantee you will find us. We are everywhere. Somebody has some sort of Goose representation on their body some way, somehow, or if they look like a hippie, go up to them, ask them, say, hey, are you here on Goose Tour? Odds are they'll probably say yes. You're now in the group. Let's go adventure. So don't be afraid to go up to somebody and introduce yourself. That's what this community and this tour is about. So just want to encourage people to lean into that a little bit more. I know we kind of talked about this earlier, but what was the balance between European and American fans at the shows?
Well, we seem to think that there was easily 75% of Americans represented at their shows. Lot of us.
Yeah, agreed. I would hopefully see more local representation next time, but I do feel like the local fans that were there were like passionate, they were into it. It was just really cool to see that because I think we get really spoiled here.
We have a ton of friends coming to the London shows. So we are totally amped to let all of our friends understand what we are going crazy about the last couple of years.
I'm sure. I mean, you guys talk about how heavily represented the American community is at these shows, but these aren't big rooms. So that's pretty intimate. What was it like following Goose with such a smaller group of fans compared to US tours where you have thousands of people like all over these amphitheaters or arenas? What was that like?
Casey and I said the same thing, apparently. It's like Goose summer camp in Europe. Well, is it be springtime? What's the season?
I
Spring.
consider it
Spring.
summer, but that's because I'm coming out of
Summer.
school, so
Will there be tulips in Amsterdam? Oh, my heart can't even take this. I
There
cried
should
near the
be.
end. Either way, it doesn't matter when we go there. It was like, you're gonna miss your best friends and never will happen the same way. Near the end, Brian was like, "Are you okay?" It's like, I just love everybody so much. And you just bond you just bond with your people, you find your people, and there's a lot of us out there, little pockets, little gaggles of us, and it's so goose. It's so goose, guys.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. How many people do you spend 2 weeks of your life with? Like, your family and your partner, and that's it. So, literally, family is all I can say, that it created family for me and for my husband. Like, we have met friends for a lifetime, and we have since spent time with them, visited them in the US, you know, unrelated to Goose because they're now our family. So, I mean, you've said this too. It's like you find us, introduce yourself to us, we will bring you into our little family, and it's just the family will just grow this summer. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty rare, even with like your best friends, that you travel abroad for that a length of time, you know? And so to like do it with people, you're just inherently, it's going to be a lot closer and more intimate. It's truly like the same 50 people you feel like you see every day over there. And when I went last time, it was kind of growing like a little community. But I think that like kind of going to Europe last time made me really realize how solidified and like big this part of my life had become. And I was like, oh, this isn't just like a silly little thing anymore. This is like a big part of my like social community. And it's just as important here as it is back home. And that was a really cool realization to have, almost like a year and a half, 2 years into following this band.
yeah, that makes me happy. And I mean, with that many people on tour, you're probably running into band members or crew a lot more frequently than you would here in the States. What was that experience like? And obviously, the band was in kind of a weird transitory time, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Ooh, should I get my teacup out? Do we No, I'm just kidding. No hot tea today. But no, it was really, really wonderful to run into band and crew alike. Yes, I ran into the band naturally, and Rick complimented this jacket. This was day 2 in Cologne. I had worn it the night before, and we had a nice, longish, natural chat. I don't even know where my husband was. He was behind me. He didn't even walk up. It was just me and Rick and Ben just, chatting. Peter walked down the ramp and introduced himself to me. I don't know. It was really cool. So I wore this jacket ever since.
Would you mind telling the honeymoon flower story?
I don't call this as an official meeting. I did meet Rick in Fort Collins, introduced myself, said I'll see you in Europe. And so yeah, Brian and I came over to Europe fully committed to the honeymoon vibe. The room was full of balloons and flowers and chocolates and all the things. And we were going to be leaving for tour. So I decided to bring those flowers to the show, right? It's like your wedding or your bouquet, your honeymoon flowers. I love the idea of an offering, and they have given us so much. My heart is fluttering. It's like so symbolic that I went ahead and gave Rick and Trevor. I will say they both took them because Rick, he made the eyes like, I want to take your flowers, but I feel like his hands are magic. And he was kind of like a little bit out of reach. Trevor and I were face to face, eye to eye level because of where I was in Paris. So he reached for them. And so the honeymoon flowers went, and as did the idea of our honeymoon. It just dissipated because our love was all for Goose and each other. We love everyone. There's only, you have a lot of love to give, and we already have that for each other. We didn't need to call it a honeymoon, but Goose, they just took my heart and my flowers.
Yeah, I will also echo that. It just so small that you will run into like the band is wanting to go out a bit. The crew wants to go out a bit. They want to let loose after the night is over, especially if there's a break day in between. And I remember the first night in Amsterdam, it was before the show even started. And literally, we were at second row waiting for, things to begin. And Coach comes up on stage and I go, Coach, I need the set list. And he goes, officially, you are the first person to ask me the earliest out of any show ever. And I'm like, yeah. And so then he found me after the show and gave me the set list.
Coach is the best.
And the funny thing is, I think this is it.
Oh,
Right here. And the funny thing is, they had put the wrong date on it, but they had played Cologne the night before. This is another one. They had played Cologne the night before. And so they'd printed this for Amsterdam and accidentally kept Cologne on the top again. So it's the Amsterdam one, but it says Cologne.
it adds a storytelling element to it. Shout out,
Absolutely.
Coach. Shout out, crew.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a cool experience, I think the barrier between fan band crews is like a little bit more loose, and it's cool. I don't know. I think this has got to be a new experience for them too, and pretty novel. So the senses is they're working, but they're obviously enjoying the ride just as much as anybody else. Yes, you will have fun cross-pollination experiences.
I think it's also very important to know if you're going on your Euro tour to see the band, that if you do run into the band members, they're people just like you and I. And it's really important to treat them as such and not treat them as something. And honestly, if you treat them more like a normal person, human being, like you or me, odds are they'll probably have a better experience and easier time talking to you. So, something that I wanted to talk about. But are there any other stories that you guys want to share?
Keeping in mind they're working and you're just treating everyone like they're a normal person. That's just the way I roll. And so it just kind of got reeled in and for a couple hours sat with Marta and Getty and Loomis and Ben and talking music industry stuff. Just if it happens naturally, I love them so much. I already loved them before, I mean, their art, they've been honing in their art, their gift and their craft. And we all been witness to that as well. And then, in London, the last night, we all hung out in the same bar, band and crew alike. And I got to squeeze Rick again. I got to squeeze them all because I love them. I'm a ball of energy. If y'all don't know me, I have a lot of love for everyone, and we got to really soak it up. But we're cool. We're so cool. Not fangirl at all. I was like, ah! Just kidding. I wasn't crazy, but yeah, keep your cool, man.
So we know that the venues are smaller in Europe. What are the standard bag policies for these venues? Do they change per country? Do we need to bring a certain size bag? What does that look like?
I had a small across the shoulder fanny type bag. The smaller the better. There's not much space to put your things on the floor. Having the pile of stuff is not really conducive to dancing in these smaller venues, so keep that in mind. I kept it around my chest. It was small enough. Val, what do you think?
I mean, some people, it's so funny because in the US, everything is clear now. But in Europe, that's not a thing, really. I mean, I took this. It's like small. But yeah, you want to be mobile. You want to have your dancing shoes on. You want to be able to move and groove. And so pack light. This is not a trip that you want to be taking your big old suitcase. But also venue-wise, you do not want to have a lot of stuff, period. Just bring what you need. Leave the rest at your hotel.
Yeah, I don't remember any specific bag policies. Yeah, I think travel compactly. Don't do what I did, is from like a bigger perspective of bringing a big ass checked suitcase with everything. I love an outfit or two, but I'm already nerding out and trying to plan my perfect like capsule wardrobe for the 2.5 weeks that are coming up. So, catch me in my cartoon character fits. We're gonna be rinse and repeat. We're gonna be doing laundry halfway through. So, don't do it. It's not worth that extra pair of shoes. I can tell you that.
We'll have a big old laundry party.
Yeah,
Mid-tour.
exactly. Exactly.
How did the music feel different on Euro tour? Obviously, the band was going through a period of time where there was some internal strife, and we later learned that Ben and Goose would be going their separate ways. Were there still standout moments musically for you guys?
Yeah, every show is a good show. It's all Goose to me, and I was really soaking it all in because, again, I was a baby, and I don't really there's just something so good at every show. There's a nugget, and that's why we do it. We follow the jams, we follow the improv, we follow each other and the band, and it's just always real good.
I was so new to it still that I thought they did such a professional job of doing the music that whatever strife was happening behind the scenes, we did not know about it. I mean, yes, people were kind of talking about it a little bit, but it was not the focus at all, at least for any circle I was in. And I just like the uniqueness, all the different stuff they were bringing in all the time. For me, I just felt like each venue kind of brought a different vibe. We were on this boat in Bristol, literally a boat, 250 people. It was literally a sauna because it was so freaking hot. And we were all dressed up as sailors because, you know, you're on a boat.
Gotta go with the theme.
Gotta go. I mean, Peter literally had half of his pianos because they couldn't even put them all in there. And it was just like, I don't even know how they did it. They made it sound amazing, but they did not have all the equipment they needed. And it was just awesome every time. And each show had its own vibe and personality, just like they do. And that's why I'm so excited to see what they do this time.
Yeah, I think, it felt different. It's kind of hard to put into words. There were no encores in Europe. So 2 sets, no encore.
Important to note.
Non-core.
Non-core, that was the thing. We'll see if that continues the next time around. And I think largely it seems like these shows were like not as lauded maybe for their musical qualities as like some other runs, but I do still feel like there were like standout jams and like moments from every show. And that's going to be like different person to person, but there were some really like good improvisational moments. And from at least at all the shows I saw. And I'm curious if maybe they tailored their shows knowing that there were people who had no familiarity with like jam music and things like that. It seemed like there was this expectation they were playing for like new peep fans, and maybe they were like, tailoring the shows a little bit more to that too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to call it right now. I think we might have some major Jam of the Year contenders for 2026 from the Europe run.
I think this is going to be the redemption run this time around.
I think so too. And Cotter's energy being present in Europe, just the thought of that, it makes me want to like get up and start dancing.
Exactly.
It's going to be a big party in Europe. I'm fully confident that they are going to completely rewrite the narrative on those Euro runs that they do this time around.
A tip is change your phone now to military time.
Yeah.
So you can get used to it. Because
Smart.
in your watch, everything, train times, it's all 24-hour, baby.
Great call. We have our very own expert on London. Valerie, what can you tell the flock about navigating London and all other things that they should know?
So, because it's the first destination, I've been thinking about this. A lot of people are going to be jet lagged. I'm hoping that most people come in like the day before or even 2 days before to cut their sea legs. Coming this way for me is much harder than going to the US just for jet lag purposes. You're going to be completely out of whack when you first get here on your first day. First thing is, whenever you arrive, which is probably going to be early in the morning, try to stay up as late as you can and try and get a normal day in. So if that means the show is the next day, you're going to be struggling a bit. Just be prepared. But I would say try to do 2 if you can, because London is so amazing and there's so much to do. And it's just like the biggest city and there's so much history. And I just obviously am totally biased. We have a restaurant called Pickle and Rye, and we're going to do a night 0.
It's delightful.
So at least we're throwing it out there. We're going to see who bites. If people would rather go into town, that's fine too. But we would love to like host people, put up a show, like do
People
kind of
would bite.
drinks. People come in, have some food, have some nibbles. And we're actually, so London, think of London as a donut. The middle donut is zone 1. Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 5, Zone 6 goes up to, I think, 12. So Zone 1 is where all of your stuff is, you know? Zone 2 is actually where, in the south, is where they're playing. So when you're looking up where to stay, you will want to stay in the southwest or south of Zone 2 because that is going to be your closest to the venue. Zone and for travel purposes, once you get to where you're staying, just know that you can travel for free. It caps at £8.90 per day. So you can travel in zone 1s through 2. Once you spent $8.90, and you can travel for free. The buses are different. They cap at like £6. So if you ride buses all day, it caps at £6 and then it's free for the rest of the day. Just make sure that you're using the same card always, because if you use a different card, it's going to think it's a different person and it will charge you separately. Also, I don't know if this is a US thing now, but Apple Pay is huge over here and it has been for years. So you cannot pay cash on a bus. You cannot pay cash at a train. It is only contactless. So have your favorite card ready for your trip. Have that on your Apple Pay. And when you go in for the London Underground, you tap in to get into the kiosk. You walk in, and then you have to tap out. And the reason is because it's measuring your journey. So it basically charges you for the length of your journey. So if you get on the train at the airport and you ride all the way in, it's going to charge you for that long trip, if that makes sense. But if you get on a bus, there's no fare charge. So you never tap out of a bus. You tap into a bus, never out. So that's kind of an easy way. And I do highly recommend riding buses because they're double deckers, which are amazing. And literally it's like the tourist experience to get on a double decker bus and like ride around the city for, £2. Don't be afraid to get on a bus and get a little bit lost because you could just get off and go back. So it's kind of a fun experience to get a little bit lost, especially if you're in zone 1. Odds are you're going to find something cool when you get off the bus. And then I was going to say, walking is also huge. So make sure that you are getting your step counts in now because you're going to be walking a lot in Europe. Like London is so amazing. Yes, you can take the underground to certain places, but you might as well just walk because you're going to see Big Ben, you're going to see Buckingham Palace, you're going to see Trafalgar Square and Covent Garden and National Portrait Gallery, and it's all going to be like within half a mile of each other, So it's like just walk around. And obviously make sure your phone plan is ready to go for being able to find yourself where you're going. And the other thing I was going to say is with staying closer to the venue, keep in mind that Electric Brixton's in zone 2. But you could get a hotel in zone 2 that's North London. So make sure you're in the southwest part of zone 2. It's very important. Otherwise, you're going to be going across the city.
That was so valuable. Major points, major tips. Everybody needs to bookmark, go back, save that segment, and reference it. Thank you for sharing that. Since you live in London, I also want you to talk about one notable moment that you remember that is community-based.
Well, that's easy. Last day of the tour, we bussed everyone to Pickle and had a pancake breakfast.
Come and get your
pancakes.
It
was amazing. And we literally, Alex and I got in the back and we were just making pancakes and Bloody Marys and mimosas, and we were closed. So it was just like everyone came in and we had bussed everyone from Soho. And you know what? I had made a playlist, which was amazing, which was basically all of the covers they've done by the actual bands. Technically, we've been hearing Goose the whole time. So we're like, let's listen to some music that's what they play, but not them.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that they may show up. So we were like, it would be weird if we were playing their music when they showed up. It didn't happen. It's fine. But Peter did say he knew about the pancake event. So that was good. But I do have to say that just like put the icing on the cake because it was the last day of the tour and we were all like just glowing from the experience. And we were all just spent the afternoon together, like eating pancakes and reminiscing about how amazing it was. And then we got on our party bus and we were back in line and we're in the second row for the last night in London.
That's so special. Valerie, if you have any events at Pickle, you're going to have to keep us updated. I have a strong feeling that the community is already dying to be there, eating y'all's food, having drinks, being merry with the community.
Yeah, we'll be there. And I do have to say, we will be open both mornings of each show for brunch. So if anyone wants to come down, we'll be there.
Awesome. Does anybody else want to talk about London?
Oh, that was magic. The pancake breakfast, that was incredible, and I'm salivating right now thinking about it because your Bloody Marys, I did learn that you do save the end of the bottle of hot sauce, and that's how you make it so perfect. I don't mean to like yeah, yeah, I didn't wanna give your secret
Secret
away.
sauce. Sauce.
Phew. And also, walking is amazing. All anywhere you go, you can get lost. And make sure you make reservations because you can't just walk into a restaurant and just get right in. So, long story short, we were right around the corner from Buckingham Palace after a really late Szechuan meal that was like the best I've ever had. We walked on over to Buckingham Palace and around, what do you say, 22 o'clock? 2200?
10 o'clock. 2200. 2200. Yep.
Okay, 2200. We we saw the king. We saw the royals. They came out of Buckingham Palace. People wait their whole lives to see this. And I know, who the king is and William and Kate, and they were all there. And so you just never know. And that was a magical thing in London that I wanted to share, other than it was Brian's birthday on London night one, and we all sang happy birthday to him, and that was
Oh, love it. Okay, we're going to start to wrap up a little bit more. I want all of you guys to talk about this. And Casey, I'd love for you to start. How did Euro Tour change the way that you think about travel, music, and or community?
As people kind of give you the side eye when you talk about like traveling for a band, I think sometimes, maybe I'm just projecting, but
I think we can all relate.
traveling in this way kind of changed my whole perspective. It's like really nice to have a cohesive anchoring purpose or activity in travel. And I kind of seek that out more, whether it's like for music or band, or like whether I'm like taking a workshop or class or like continuing it. I like a point of anchoring, I guess, and contact like that for travel. And so that's like something I prioritize and seek out now, more than ever. So yeah, it's changed my whole outlook on how I want to do things in the future.
I agree. I think Viva El Gonzo was a good testament to realizing how coordinating travel and vacations around something like a show can be so beneficial and lend itself to having a completely different experience.
Yeah. And I think you really get to dive in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like normally when we travel, there isn't as much of that community aspect to it. But when you're following a band, it's a completely different ballgame. And especially with jam bands, you're not only exploring this new place with a small group of people, but with other people who have shared interests with you from all over the country, all over the world. So I think it's a really cool experience. Marinda?
Yeah, travel in light is the only way to fly. What changed was that I found family. I have seen over 100 Fish shows, y'all. I've seen a lot of bands. I've seen a lot of Mo shows. I used to go solo and would have totally went solo had my husband not been in my life. Once you get the hook, but that's what I learned was just like family is out there, and they come in all forms, and we're there for the same purpose. And it's similar to being in the US, but it's a little more condensed and magic. It's ineffable.
Valerie?
Gosh, I just like can't even say enough good things. Like I get a little bit emotional just talking about it. We found our family and it is having a connection to something you really love and spending that time with people and getting to know them. I just feel like in a time right now where people are so divided, it is so important to get to know people that are not from where you are, not from different facets of life, different walks of life, different, everything. It is so, so, so important to just embrace difference and people and realize that you're all coming together for this one thing. And if she likes it, she's obviously cool. I want to know her story, you know? And I just think that, like, how could you not grow by doing an experience like this? And so that's why I will always try to focus my extra time around this because it is the well, you know? You go to it and you fill your cup. And that's what we look forward to now in these experiences is we know the music's going to be amazing, but we know that it's unifying us in a way that we all really need right now.
Marinda, why is this an experience worth doing at least once?
To say you did it, man. Were you at Europe 72? Did you see the Grateful Dead in Europe? No? Then go. Yes? You're wicked lucky. That's awesome. Were you at Fish for Europe tour? Yes, no, maybe so. It does not matter. Go to there. Go with Goose and experience the best traveling circus. Join that gaggle and just surrender to it. The bird band is amazing. I say don't hold back. Go everywhere. I won't say
Feel
it.
everything.
Yes. See everyone. See.
Do we have any last minute advice for the upcoming tour that we haven't touched on?
Yeah. I would say I think everybody listening is probably a very mindful, kind human as it is, but I think it's always just a good reminder that anytime you're traveling somewhere else, you're in someone else's home and you're a visitor. And it's good to be respectful and humble and considerate of the situation around you, even if it's not how you would proceed in your home. Especially it shows, I think that, there's a certain way, etiquette, so to speak, that things unfold here in relation to like personal space and like, spots and things. And I think letting go of a little bit of control and like giving a local person like a moment might be a nice thing to just try. Just, or like take a breath before there's like emotions get too hot. And we get plenty of chances for this sort of thing here. So let's let some other people have a moment who maybe don't get those moments very often.
We get the opportunity to see them a lot more frequently in the States. So to share that experience and give that up close, intimate opportunity to someone who doesn't get that could be a game changer. You might start a whole wave of fans just because that one person got that one experience. You never know. Their global audience could increase immensely by letting locals have that experience. So lean into that. We
Yeah.
get to see them so
And we're
often.
ambassadors,
Yes.
We're our own people, but we are ambassadors for the band and the scene in a way. So let's be cool.
Yeah. And they're smaller rooms to begin with. So you're probably just as close in the back of the room as you would be at a big arena or amphitheater.
Everyone is going to feel like it's a special event. They're going to feel like it's not like any show they've ever been to. So you're going to feel like you're right there, even if you're in the middle.
It's very magical, and Europeans are not hip to rail rider etiquette. They just aren't. They don't understand like marking your territory, your space. It's just, be like water. We need to be like water and just kind of, just meld with one another.
I love that metaphor. I like to call myself a floor floater because I like to move around different areas. I like to see Getty's lights. I like to be up close for a song or two and get different experiences. So move like water. I like what Marinda said. What would you guys say to someone listening who is on the fence regarding 2026 Euro Tour?
Buy the ticket, take the ride.
What she said. Do it. This is your chance. Take it if you can. If you feasibly can do it, you will not regret it. I know there are decisions to be made. They threw a lot at us for summer tour, Gonzo. Maybe you need to make some decisions, but Europe, just do it while you can.
Yeah. It's a privilege to be able to do it, but I'd say go for it if you have an inkling. I would personally sacrifice probably everything else if it was like an either or decision to go, even if it's just for a few shows.
I mean, if you can make it work at the end of the day, it probably lands around the same cost.
Yeah.
It does.
Regret is not
Actually
something
is.
you want to feel, The regret of choosing not to go is not something you want to feel.
No more expensive than flying across the country here in the States to go to a big show.
Okay. Lastly, we at the Femme Flock are all about celebrating inspiring and influential women. Can you ladies tell us about a woman who has inspired you?
person, the people I am thinking of is my mother, Cheryl Donnelly Ryder, and the recipient of her facial tissue, Carmen Blandon Tarleton. My mother was an organ donor. As her proxy, I was able to help a woman that I didn't know was her, and we became the bestest of friends. And her book is called Blind, Burned, and Blessed. I think it's Overcome, Blind, Burned, and Blessed. And you can read her story and my mother's. It became an open book. She became pretty famous. So organ donation, tissue donation, thinking of those two women who are the epitome of resiliency and strength. And so I'm holding them right now.
I'm going to go basic for this one. The one I keep coming back to is my sister. I love her so much, and I just think she's so cool and creative and witty, funny. And, I think I'm just so happy to have her. I'm going to get choked up thinking about it, but yeah, she's my role model.
Thank you for sharing.
I don't want to lead after that. For me, it's just, I think as you get older, especially when you live far away from your family, for me, it's actually been my solid girlfriends back home that have stayed constant in my life. Particularly, I have a friend, her name's Amy, and she and I just have made sure to make time for each other. And we might go months at a time and not see each other, but to have a solid, strong person who knows you from all of your walks of life, I think is important because they ground you and they help remind you of what's important to you. And so I think just maintaining your friendships, and she's just reminded me that that's so important. She's done it so well for me. So yeah, it's been hard actually being over in London sometimes and missing, being right next to all my friends. But she's been over here more than any other person to visit. That says a lot. Sometimes actions say more than words. And for me, friendship as you get older is just something to hold very dear.
Awesome. Well, thank all of you ladies for taking the time to be here. Give us all your travel tips, your insights. Let us step into your world a little bit and be a part of your memories and your vulnerabilities. We are so excited to put this episode out, and I guess we'll see you all on Euro Tour.
This pod is made by women for everyone. We wouldn't be here without you, and we want to hear from you. Tag us on socials if you're dancing at a show with your crew, showing off your outfit, hosting or attending a community event, or promoting something you think we'd love. If it's for the community, we're here for it and we want to see it. The space is for everyone, and we're so excited you're a part of it. Talk to y'all soon, and flock on.
Osiris.